A conversation with Bubba Thomas at the African American Library at the Gregory School.
Now, you mentioned the book, the NCAA, and I think one of the things that I was asked to speak a little bit about was the post-civil rights, and I don't think there's a post-civil rights at all. That's my belief, because the struggle still continues, and people have to understand that where some policies have changed, the behavior of the people who put those policies in place have not changed. So we have to really understand that. And my fears is that my grandson and some of the other young people don't have enough good model to understand, because, and I was talking earlier about one of my experiences in Fourth Ward with my great-grandmother, who was a person that raised me, and how we were put off the bus because I became upset because the colored and the white signs were there, and she was sitting in front of the white sign, and she was my great-grandmother, so she was an old lady at the time, and they put us off the bus. So what I hear now, and when they put us off the bus, one of the worst whippings in whippings, beatings that I received in my life was because my grandmother was angry because we got put off the bus. Secondly, she was angry because she had to walk home. And I guess that third reason was something else. I don't know what it was. But when you look at where we are today, and when I talk about the book, NCAA, National Collegiate Affirmative Action, people will say, but Bubba, you don't understand. That's the way it always has been. Okay, now I say to them, when I grew up in Fourth Ward, it was always black people said, if they could, they had the sign all the way to the back seat. So you always sit on the back seat, and depending on what line you rode, it depended on where the sign was, because all those people who were going to work for white people, they put the sign a little bit further up, maybe by the door, because they didn't want those black women standing over those white people. So, okay, but if you look at things the way they are today, and you say black kids playing, and we have it here today at Reliance Stadium, and we have a demonstration out there going on at Reliance Stadium, protesting this. But the NCAA has come up with a policy that says it's okay to let athletes in Division I schools for lower standards than they do for musicians and lawyers and anybody else. The athlete can get there and go to those schools. So you have to ask yourself the question, why is that in the first place? But then you have to go back a little bit and say, related to my experiences, it was always where we rode in the back of the bus. But you don't have to accept that. People will tell me, Bubba, you don't understand. Why is it I don't understand? Because you're telling me that you take all the great black athletes, dumb down the scores at these white Division I schools so they can go over there and play for those people. I would think that if, in the civil rights, as I understand it, and as we participated in it, was not to make the playing field uneven for the athletes. It was to make the playing field even for all people. So I'm not saying to the young people, don't go to these Division I schools. I'm saying if it takes a certain grade point average and a certain score on the SAT for me to get in there, then it ought to take the same for you. And some of the problems that they're having today in this area is the fact that they